An adult learner or mature learner is a person who is 18 years and up who is involved in forms of learning. Adult learners are considered distinct from child learners due primarily to the work of Malcolm Knowles, who developed the principle of andragogy criteria. In the U.S., adult learners fall into the category of non-traditional students, whom the National Center for Education Statistics defines as meeting at least one of the following 7 criteria: delays enrollment, attends part-time for at least part of the academic year, does not enroll in a post-secondary education directly after high school, enrolls in trade programs rather than degree programs, works towards obtaining a degree as a part-time student while working full-time and or fulfilling family obligations. Generally prefer alternative learning environments to the typical college class structure, i.e., online courses and evening classes. Is considered financially independent for purposes of determining eligibility for financial aid. Is a single parent. Does not have a high school diploma. In the UK, a student is normally classified as a mature student if he or she is a student who is at least 25+ years old at the start of his or her course, or in the Irish case on the 1st of January of the year of entry, and usually having been away from school for at least 2 years. The normal entry requirements for school leavers wishing to start an undergraduate degree are often not applied to mature students. In higher education, adult learners seem to be overtaking traditional college students in the age range of 18 to 22 in the higher education arena. The NCES noted in a 2002 study that nearly 3/4 of American undergraduate students met one of the above characteristics for classification as a non-traditional student. Of those, 46% were so defined because of delayed enrollment. In 2008, 36% of post-secondary students were aged 25 or older and 47% were independent students. More than half of non-traditional students enroll in 2-year institutions, and the more non-traditional they get, the more likely they are to consider themselves working adults first and students second, according to WorldwideLearn.com, which cites research by educational journal Recruitment and Retention in Higher Education. The average adult learner is a 35-year-old, married, middle-class Caucasian mother. Studies in the UK have explored the ways in which classed, gendered and relational positionings can conflict with adult learners' education trajectory, often contributing to their withdrawal from academia. Older adults in higher education. One challenge in higher education is to understand how older adults identify themselves. Older adults want mobility and connections with family, education, work, and community. Therefore, colleges and universities need to know how adults picture themselves in terms of work, learning, and social connections. Over the last decade, colleges and universities have created more programs that help older adults train for new careers, participate in community service, and learn while in retirement. However, many institutions are not following suit, which stuns the vast opportunities for both higher education and society to act upon older adults' shifting identities. It is stated that older adults are and are not identified by colleges and universities from a survey by the American Council on Education. For example, more than 40% of institutions that responded reported that they did not identify older adult students for purposes of outreach, programs and services, or financial aid. Likewise, the primary reasons of identification were related to non-credit programming specifically for older adults, and tuition waivers mandated by state statute, institutional policy, or both. The survey also asked questions about programs and services. Results were mixed. One institution focused specifically in older adult educations. Many indicated they did not identify older adults as a student population, and some that served few to no older adults. The mixed responses highlight the range of older adults as well as a lack of awareness to older adults' lifelong learning participation. The older adult learner. It is ignorant to classify the adult learner into one category, without realizing that the paradigm shift in age will be significant and relevant to identity. By the year 2020, it is estimated that 20% of the U.S. population will be 65 years and older. With an increasing lifespan, adults in the 50s and 60s are questioning traditional aging patterns related to identity, how society describes, how society perceives, and how older adults transition are three forefronts that will affect the paradigm shift of identity. How one describes. Research suggests that members in their 50s and over report a negative reaction when being labeled as seniors or older. They resist these labels because they feel they do not view themselves as part of the group. For example, the only time one admits they're a senior is to receive a discount. Likewise, research also suggests that members in their 50s prefer the label aging, as it conveys a journey opposed to an ending. Even leaders in higher education are taking personal and professional interest in the labels of age. For example, the continuing education administrator whose college serves older adults identifies herself as one of them. Another label is the term retirement, which is being retired or at least redefined. Research suggests retirees are now considered prime-timers or re-careers. For example, they are career shifting or becoming actively involved in the community by volunteering opposed to wasting away. How we use descriptive language to label adults aged 55 and over needs to be re-examined to create new identities for this group as the paradigm shifts. How one perceives. Today's societal views on older adults and aging consist of worn-out images in high numbers. These views come in negative images, prejudices, and stereotypes which all affect identity. Negative images and prejudices through a societal lens can be very damaging to one's identity. An example of a negative image can be portrayed by the current idea that retirement is equivalent to finished living. However, retirees today are busy operating on their own time, learning, and growing. Prejudices affect identity in the way that societal views strongly influence adults' perspectives about what they can do and learn. For example, the 70-year-old university president that feels the pressure to step down because she is too old. Stereotypes affect identity similarly. For example, a societal stereotype like, once you're 50 you're too old to learn, which could lead to one becoming more socially isolated, foregoing the opportunities to stay engaged. Negative images, prejudices, and stereotypes that negatively affect identity must also be re-examined as the paradigm shifts. How older adults transition. With increased lifespan and economic uncertainties, where do older adults go next? The need to re-examine the years after age 55 are important, as this is an area of unknown development where many older adults are finding themselves crossing boundaries to start new roles and explore new environments. An example of a change in role can be illustrated by an adult in their 50s returning to college. Returning to college, one definitely crosses boundaries and explores new environments. At times, these role changes can create transformative learning experiences. For example, an older adult connecting with other learners across communities and generations that then begins to understand themselves in new ways. Ultimately, shifts in roles create new learning experiences, peer-to-peer interactions, intergenerational experiences, and provides new opportunities for those willing to cross. Special characteristics. Adult learners are diverse with regard to the following variables. Variable. Given the wide variety of learning experiences, adult learners are a diverse student population. Motivation. Adult learners require either external or internal motivation to learn. Physiological. The physical aspects of aging can impact the learner, i.e., hearing, vision, energy, and health. Psychosocial characteristics including cognitive, personality, and socio-economic factors impact an adult's ability to learn. Opposed to a child, adult learners typically have more life experience. When confronted with new knowledge or an experience, adult learners construe new meaning based on their life experiences.